Why is it that you're irritable? Why do you get impatient? Why do you tend to view your kids as things that get in your way? Augustine said that sin causes us to curve inward on ourselves. And even as Christians, with a new heart, a renewed heart, we still fight against that. George Harrison, one of the Beatles, wrote a song called I, Me, Mine. That's kind of, 20th century Augustine in modern language. As long as sin remains, mess is a part of a relationship. The question isn't how can I avoid the mess? The question is what will I do with that mess? When two people are attracted to one another, it's usually because they're attracted to one another's strengths. And what happens sometimes in marriage, when sin gets a hold of that, what you eventually begin doing is you start viewing those strengths through the lens of sin, and you see those strengths as obstacles, things you don't like. For instance, a very social woman marries a very pensive man. And they get married, and because of the differences, they were drawn to one another. She made him feel great in group settings because she was very social. She loved him because he was a very good listener. Well, they're married, and 5 years down the road, she's obnoxious, not just very good in social settings, and he's boring, to her. And I think what has happened in our marriage, and the only thing that can prevent that, I think, is the gospel, so that you keep the strengths in perspective and you realize that oftentimes those strengths are also weaknesses. Your temptation is to say, these people in my life are here to create pain, and they're supposed to be here to serve me. And from God's perspective, He's put these people in your life, but it's not to create pain as much as it is to bring about redemptive growth. Relationships are designed by God to reveal that stuff in us. And when we do blow it, when we return, what's encouraging, what I've seen, is it doesn't just bring the relationship back to where it was before you wronged the person. If there's genuine repentance and a real genuine asking for forgiveness, the relationship actually matures. It goes further, it goes deeper. If you were to look at my marriage to Barbara, I think I would say, and I think she would agree, she was probably a more quiet person, good listener, avoided conflict. I was more verbal, more task-oriented, didn't mind conflict. She could be a conflict avoider. I could be hurtful. I could be insensitive. And if you look at the past 18 years of our marriage, you would say that probably both of us have grown, and God has used each of us in one another's lives. She's much more confrontational now in good ways. And I think, and this is on one of my good days, I think I'm a better listener. I think I'm a more gentle person. The Bible really is a two-edged sword, and one of the things that it does is it enables you, maybe even pushes you to admit how deeply self-centered you are. And that's one of the reasons you don't like the Bible. And yet at the same time, it shows you a God who is committed to rescuing you from your own self-centeredness. And I would say that right there is what is utterly unique to the Christian message, the Christian gospel. That at the same time, it lays you bare and shows you how deeply self-centered you are. Even though you don't believe it, you are. And yet, here's a God who would rescue you in the midst of that and commit to change you. I mean, this is pretty amazing, change you ultimately into the image of His own Son, Jesus.